Hi everyone, today I want to talk about my own mental health journey. I'm going to go right back to the very beginnings of it right way through to today. And the reason why I'm doing this, it's because I feel it's quite important to talk about your mental health, and it helps break down the stigma around it as well. Now, I must first of all just warn some people that there may be some triggers in this video. I will be talking about anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts and suicide attempts as well. And I'm also going to be talking about bullying and about abuse in relationships. So if you feel that this isn't going to be right for you and may trigger you, then please just have a click through to one of my other videos. It's a bit more better for you. Might go quite deep and quite painful with this today. I'm 53 years old, and so my mental health journey really goes back to when I was actually at high school, either in America or senior school as it is over here in the UK. From when I was a child, I was a quite lonely child. Wanted to be on my own, even though my parents did try and get me to socialise and build friendships with other people. I far preferred to be on my own, do things in my bedroom. It was far more easier for me than to cope with society as a whole. I found it quite distracting, quite noisy, and a bit too much for me. I always felt like I wasn't quite part of the world, if you know what I mean. When you think I was born in 1971, right at when things like autism was just being discovered, just being looked at. So there wasn't anything out there to actually help children. There was no mental health, there was no counselling, schools, anything like that. It was just a get on and do with it. Be a man, be a grown up, don't be so childish. And back in the 70s and 80s, that was the thing. That's the way that our parents were brought up, and by their parents, and back in the war times. So it was the norm back then, and thankfully nowadays we've got a lot more things in place where there is a lot more support out there for young people, as I feel that most mental health issues do start from actually when you're young. It certainly did for me. In junior school I was always picked on for being the quiet person and whatever, and would go off crying and so forth, but that's just being a kid. Really, when I got into senior school or high school, that things got different. Bullying became a lot more. There was one particular guy with his little crony of friends that would pick on me on a daily basis just for being the quiet one. They'd call me, gay boy, shirt lifter, faggot, and all the rest of it. And I was 11 years old, and that sort of intense pressure on you every day, it got me to become more of a loner. I shunned my friends at school. Only really remember some of their names now. Some of you might remember me from back then. So again, I was just to go off and do things on my own. I was a lot more happy, and as it got more and more stressful over the years, even to the second or third year of senior school, I started bunking off or truanting a lot. Thought the best way around it was just to not bother going to school, get away from that pressure. I was quite happy going off on forests on my own and going around shops every day and so forth. And my parents would get called into school because I was truanting, and I'd mention the bullying, and the schools would go, "Oh, well, there's not a lot we can do about it." And then we moved out the area, and I was going to become one of the new kids in the new school, but couldn't really find a school that my mum felt happy with. Went back to the school and got back then after having a few weeks off of going back in, straight back it started. There was the bullying every single day, being beaten up, pushed around, laughed at, and so that was it. I just decided I didn't really want to go to school anymore. when I wasn't being bullied, I actually enjoyed school. I enjoyed education. You know, I was an intelligent young man. When I was in the last year of junior school, I came on one of the top grades of what's now called SATs, but for us back then it was 11 plus. One of the highest people in the whole of London. And that was a big achievement, you know, considering my teachers used to not like the fact that I was always asking questions of, you know, please miss, why is it like this? I was very inquisitive as a child. And then, so we got into the last couple of years, and before I moved, because I was in a grammar school, so you did first 3 years in one school, then you moved to another school for the last 2 years. And it was round about that time that I'd come to the realisation that I was gay, didn't like people my own age, and so all that name calling and stuff, I got quite scared about it. Was I feeling this way because of the peer pressure, because of the kids calling me Gaylord and gay boy and all the rest of it in school? You know, have they made me become that way? I've realised now, obviously, no, it wasn't them. And so again, with all that pressure, I didn't go into school. And again, because we'd moved out of the school's main borough, the school definitely couldn't do it. They didn't want to know about me being bullied, and the fact that these bullies wouldn't just bully me in school, they'd follow me out of school, up to the bus stop, and actually physically abuse me trying to get on the bus. So I thought, right, there's no escape whilst I'm actually there at school. So 9 times out of 10, I didn't bother going. I did get some very good friends whilst I was at school. Still am friends with some of them now on Facebook. And they did get me through some very hard times and actually gave me some purpose in life. You know, we used to go to concerts together, play role-playing games, and we had the same taste in music. So for people out there like Paul, like Ian, Richard, Keith, Dave, the 5 of you really did help me quite a lot back then. It's just a shame that I'm 200 odd miles away from you all now. I do meet up with Ian every now and then. It's good to see him. I haven't seen him for a few years, so need to get that sorted out again. And a lot of times, especially around my parents, I used to spend a lot of my time upstairs in my room. So they didn't see what was happening to me. I was trying to protect them, make them happy that they had a happy child, and they didn't have to worry about, you know, they had their own problems going through, loads of issues. I remember a time when I actually said to my parents when I was about 12, please don't stay together just because of me. Yeah, I could tell they weren't happy together, and when it finally got to the point when they did split up, they both became a lot more happier. The fact that they're actually still with their partners, well, my mum's still with her partner, and my husband now after all these years. Unfortunately, my dad passed away just over 5 years ago, but he stayed with the person that he'd met as well, in great relationships. And so over those years I learnt to mask a lot of that and actually become, when I got out there in the workplace at the age of 16, I was always the happy, the jovial person. I've mentioned this before in other videos. You know, the life and soul of the party. I'd walk in every morning and go, morning everyone, how are you? You know, great day. But inside I was the complete opposite. You know, I didn't want to know what to do with my life. I came out of school with a qualification in art, and that's all I had. And I did love art. I wanted to pursue art, but my dad, no, got to go and work in an office. So I rebelled against that and did everything I could not to work in an office. Back in the late 80s, you could literally say bye-bye to one job and walk into another one the next day. It was the employees' world back then. So I tried everything. Nothing made me happy. I worked in a supermarket as a trolley pusher, then became a fishmonger, and then went to work in a hardware store, became a postman. And it was around about the time I was a postman that things were all kicking off. My mum had left home and everything, and I'd had my first nervous breakdown. Everything had got on top of me that much. Wasn't doing my job properly. I was started drinking. I'd been smoking, and the suicidal thoughts weren't there, but I wanted out. I just didn't know what direction to go to. I wasn't a happy person. Didn't want any relationships. Even when I was in my late teens, I even tried to get girlfriends to try and put another mask over myself to say, yes, I'm a normal person. Yeah, look, I'm fine. I wasn't. The girls soon realised that I was gay. We just became friends. And so with all that, I attached myself to somebody after moving out of home. And it was the first of many failed relationships because I wasn't happy in myself. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. You didn't. Men didn't talk about their feelings. Girls did. Girls spoke to their friends about their feelings all the while when they had support. Men, we didn't have that back then. Some men still don't do it today. It's still not the thing to do. And in retrospect, I wish I had spoken to people and tried to get help back then, but I didn't realise that you could. So I got into a relationship with a person, moved me out of London down to the south coast. Wasn't happy in that relationship. Got into working into the care industry. Actually quite enjoyed that. It was great being at work. It was just when I was home, I wasn't. Fell out of that relationship into another one. Found out the first guy I was with had stolen someone's identity and wasn't really a nurse. Great. I could have been dragged down into that sort of thing. But then my second relationship was someone who was an alcoholic and very mentally abusive. But because I was so low, I didn't know how to escape. So there was me sat there for a couple of years in this drunken, abusive relationship. I was scared a lot of the time. This person had known some very rough people and had said if I'd ever left them that they'd have me killed. So it was the fear of that. They brought me up north to where I am now. So came up for a 4-day thing. We wanted to move up here. I actually quite fell in love with the town. Still live in that town today. 28 years later, I'm still here. And so they got cirrhosis and died because of alcohol abuse. I actually feel slightly guilty of the fact that I actually felt quite happy that they'd died. So he only had 4 people turn up for his funeral. His own daughters didn't turn up because they hated who he was. And that left me on my own up here. I was sort of happy on my own. Got into another couple of little stupid mini relationships that again, there were abusive people, and I got out. I got to the point where I was living in a bedsit and felt so ashamed of myself and the way I was that it was coming up to Christmas. I had no money. I couldn't afford to buy gifts for my parents for Christmas. I was working 2 jobs over that time, but I'd have shut myself off from parents, didn't contact them at all. And this was before the days of the internet and mobile phones, everything like that, where my parents had got the police involved and knew I was being gay, contacted the gay bars, and could I actually worked for one of them. An ad had gone out in like the free gay newspaper that we had back then. My boss had called me into the office and went, "Here's a phone your family, they're worried about you." And so I'd done that, built some bridges there, and then after a few months after that, actually found another relationship, and I thought everything was absolutely brilliant. This person cared, they wanted me to become best for myself, they encouraged me to go to college, which is what I did. Started off doing, because we actually ran a little small guest house, so it was actually do hospitality, did really well, come out with a distinction overall on my high national diploma, and then Daddy actually got stabbed and had nearly died. That caused even more stress for me. That's then when everything had changed. They became they were very much a big drinker, but became a bigger drinker. To the fact that it was going out 3 or 4 nights a week. And then it actually got to where they became a lot more controlling. They tried to control what I did, what I'd wear, who I spoke to, tried to change my behaviour. I said, "Oh, stop being so childish and infantile." Well, now I got into my late 40s, I actually then got diagnosed with autism. So really that went back to me being a child, about me feeling different. You know, I wasn't a normal person. Being autistic, you're running on a whole different operating system. Yeah, the rest of the world's all running on Windows, and people on the autistic spectrum are running on Mac OS. You know, we can do the same things, but we have to do it a certain way, a different way. And he didn't like that. He was like, "No, you will do it. You will stop being like this. You will do this," and so forth. Caused lots of arguments. I'd run away a few times and got more and more depressed, and did have quite a few times where the suicidal thoughts did creep in. And there was a few times when I did attempt to commit suicide, didn't succeed, where either, you know, fate had decided no, it wasn't my time, and I thought, oh, it's because I'm still supposed to be here with this person. And they then got worse with their own health. I'd gone into teaching by then, because I thought, don't want to do hotel work anymore because of what had happened to him. Loved teaching. One of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my life. Really found that as a true calling. Started off by teaching IT, after getting an IT qualification, to people out in the community. Loved that, teaching everyone from 18 up to 80, and listening to their problems, and then went on from there to teaching in prisons for a couple of years. Again, helping them, very much of a give back to people sort of person that I am. Hence one of the reasons why I created this channel, was to try and help people with mental health issues, for them to overcome them like I have. Then I got into what we call over here, it was called welfare to work, helping people who have been unemployed for a while and help them overcome their barriers to actually find employment. That was absolutely brilliant. We were on the sort of program where people volunteered to go on to. They weren't made to go on it. So they actually wanted the help. You weren't trying to preach to the deaf, the people who were blinkered and didn't want to know. These people wanted to be there. And so then got a qualification in providing advice and guidance. And part of the curriculum that I was creating was around self-esteem, motivation, helping people overcome the barriers. And as I was doing this research, I was learning loads about helping people. And so I was getting people to understand their own mental health and how to motivate themselves and get themselves a structure and start using lists and notepads and planning for the future. And I was doing brilliantly at that. But what I wasn't doing was doing that for myself. They always say people are great at teaching stuff, but to make the worst people to actually pay any attention. And again, I was drinking lots with my partner, and my mental health was going down. Again, I'd had a couple of times of trying to commit suicide, and I didn't know why. And someone had said to me, you need to go and speak to your GP. And I did, finally. And they tried me on a couple of different types of medication. Some of them were horrible, absolutely vilest things on the planet. And I thought, I don't want this stuff. It's making me feel like a zombie. I can't go to work. I need to help me go back to work. I can't sit at home all day long, just sat here going, So I kept going back and getting different medications. And they finally got me on one that is citalopram. And I've been on that now for over 15 years. And it actually has helped. I do still have some low moments, but suicidal thoughts don't come back anymore. Well, not that often. And I was able to feel a lot better. And things were progressing nicely. And then my partner actually then had a minor stroke. That then just changed him even further than what he was. This was a person where nothing was his fault. It was always my fault. The mental abuse got worse. The arguments got worse. And I'd got to the point one day when I'd thought, sod it. I do not want to be here anymore. I couldn't afford to leave. I didn't know what to do to leave. So I had taken a concoction of stuff, said I was going to cause an argument so I could go to bed early, knowing he'd stay up. And I was at peace. I thought, this is it. I'm actually ready to do it. I was fully prepared that night to die. And the universe again had kicked in and stopped me. I remember waking up in the high dependency unit at the local hospital with these nurses around me, and lots of people were just saying, why, again, the pressure kicked in. Why did you do it? Why did you do it? My dad and my stepmom had come all the way up from London. And the look of how can I say this? Not distrust, but hurt in my father's face. I can still see it today. And he looked like I'd put a knife in his heart, seeing me laid there. And after that, I wanted to get out of that hospital. I spoke to a therapist the next day. I said, stabilise me. It seemed that I had like to lots of blood transfusions and everything, and I had nearly died. The nurses were looking at me like I was scum because I tried to kill myself just against their remit of caring for people. And the psychologist sat there in the hospital in a room on my own, and outside was my partner, my father, my stepmother. And he said to me, if I don't hear the right words from your lips, you're not leaving here today, you'll be going to the mental health unit. That scared the bejesus out of me. So I told him what he wanted to hear. I didn't tell him the truth, that the reason why I tried to commit suicide was someone who was sat outside that door. That's how scared I was. And I really wished I'd actually had said to them the real reasons, because it would have been my first step of truly, properly healing. And it would have allowed me to have had that escape. But no, I stupidly went back home to, again, the barrage of questions. Why did you do it? Why did you do it? Why did you do it? And I had to mask again. Mask and say, it was me, and lie. I've told so many lies to people over the years about what I wasn't feeling, to try and protect them without looking after myself. So I implore you now, if you're feeling like I was, please shout it out. Tell the truth to people. Don't try and say things to make them feel better. Fuck them, is what I say. Look after yourself. And a thing you'll hear me say a lot on all these videos is it's okay to not be okay. And I wasn't okay then. After that, they'd referred me to an outside psychologist to go and see once a week. Lovely guy. Again, I did him a disservice. I lied to him and told him what he wanted to hear. I've covered this in a video of things not to say to a therapist. One of them is don't lie to them. You know, you do not lie to your therapist. If you've got to that point and you've managed to get hold of a therapist, you know how hard it is to get hold of a therapist when you can't afford to pay privately. Use them. Literally use them as much as what you can to get the help you need. I didn't. And it took me longer time for me to get even worse. You know, it got to the point where I was on maximum amounts of citalopram. And I did have a mini part of a eureka moment where I said to myself, I don't want to be like this anymore. I can't be like this anymore. I can't put myself through that again of attempting to do that. I've got more to live for. So I found this, I'd gone back to the doctors again and going, is there anything you can do to help with stress? And thankfully, started a new course, a stress management course that was to be done at the local local library in one of the big huge meeting rooms, and it was for over 6 weeks, and you spent an hour there and they gave you workbooks to do at home. And the great thing about it was you didn't have to talk. They actually encouraged people not to say a word on this. The course started off with 60 people in that room. By the time it finished, there was only 12 of us. We were the ones that actually did the workbooks, and it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It had been developed by a psychologist professor up in Scotland who worked for the NHS. brilliant. If you get a chance to go on something like that, go on it. It really got to me to understand what stress was, what my stresses were, and to start creating my own coping mechanisms around that. You know, I chose journaling, I chose breathing exercises, mindfulness. That really has worked the most for me. And it was around about that time I was working as an MBQ assessor, teaching people out in the workplace. And I'd had to take time off for a month for me having that mini breakdown. And my boss had said to me afterwards, I was having like my return to work meeting, and it was face to face. And he'd said to me, "Oh, so you're cured of your mental health now? Your mental illness is gone now, you've had this course." That shocked me. The fact that a manager in an education environment did not understand mental health. And I said to him, no, it's not going to go away. Mental health is not an illness. You can't be cured of it. You know, it stays, you've got mental health from the day you're born until the day you die. It's how it affects you and how you have got those coping mechanisms. Everyone feels stress, but most people can deal with that stress. And other people can't. Like us, we can't deal with the mental health the way that other people do. And he just brushed it off. Oh, you'll be fine and whatever. And I thought, oh, here we go. So I feel that there should be a lot more mental health training in companies. You know, when you have to do these mandatory training sessions, mental health should be one of them, along with your equality and diversity, your health and safety, and your financial conduct, and GDPR, and all the rest of it. Mental health should be one of them. And it should become a legal requirement that people are taught this when they start jobs. But hopefully I might start to change people's minds and start demanding that from our companies. Moving on. Again, things were beginning to get worse with my partner, and again I was thinking, no, I'm taking control of this. I'm going to start. You're not, every time it say something was my fault, I started fighting back. So no, you're the one at fault, not me. I'm not taking your stress and your guilt anymore. Have it back. And with that, it got to the point where I'd actually met someone who turned my life around, literally. Did a full 180. And this person from day one showed that they cared, showed that they wanted to help, and was showing that they were willing to accept me for who I actually was, not for who I could be for them. And I was getting ready to leave my partner for this person. And then obviously my partner at the time must have figured out something was happening, because I was selling stuff, I was some old hobbies and the stuff that I had huge interest in. Lego, that used to be one of my big things to help me de-stress. Sold it all. And started clearing out stuff and that I didn't need anymore to make it easier and quicker for me to move. I was getting ready to move out, move to a different town or city with this person. And as things were getting into place, ready for me to move out and to actually say, I'm going by, they committed suicide. And did it during the night whilst I was sleeping. And again, this person that I'd met was a rock. true, utter rock. I'd come straight over, everyone where we lived, or oh, what's this arsehole doing here? And I went, excuse me, this is my partner. You know, I was getting ready to leave my other one. You didn't see what went on at home. You only saw what they wanted to portray out in the bars and to the public. You didn't see what was going on inside. And it was right about that time then that the local bar people who actually worked in the bar, who were always sober, actually said that they could see things, but they knew it wasn't their place to say anything. But they could see the abuse, some of the abuse that I was under. And so, you know, this person just showed their love for me so much. They were there to help me with the funeral. And we've got a place together now. And 5 years later nearly, or 4.5 years, we're still together. We're still each other's rocks. And we talk to each other, we support each other. They've been through their own mental health issues. If you watch my video about PTSD, I go through more what they've been through. But I'm in a place now where I am right with my mental health, and have been since my partner came into my life, or soon to be my husband. And one of the first things he was doing for me, all the negative people that were around me, he was getting rid of them, or getting me out from around them. You know, so don't go out drinking in the bars anymore. I do still drink occasionally, but I don't need it anymore. I feel better for it, but I also feel better around not being around those people where it was all about them. What you could do for them, how you made them laugh. They didn't try to make you laugh, or didn't want to listen to your stories. You were there to listen to theirs. And once I got all those people out of the way and started to find new friends that actually would want to listen to what I've been going through and would offer support and a shoulder to cry on. Those are the people you need around you. Make sure you get them. Please don't be like me and wait until you're in your 50s. Get these people. If you're younger, if you're in your 20s or 30s watching this video, please do something about it now. Even if it's just talking to someone. Talk to someone online in a support group or Facebook group or something like that. Put a comment down below and try and get other people to help you. You know, talking is a good thing, and try and find someone around you who's willing just to listen, not judge, listen. I got it, and it helped me hugely. I now feel so happy and content in my life. You know, I've got a lovely partner, I've got a lovely home, and I've got all the things around me that support me. I feel loved and nurtured. I also, since changing my attitude and my mental health, I've got closer to my mum. My mum didn't like my ex-partner for what she could see that I wasn't happy. She sees I'm happy now, and she comes up, you know, 2 or 3 times a year and spends a week with us, and you know, we go out for days together, and all the things I wanted to do in my life that my partners would never allow me to do, we're now doing. Going out for days out and going out to visit parks and gardens and National Trust sites, and actually being able to have a mindful life. you know, and the company I now work for is so huge on mental health, and I mean huge on it. It's right up there as one of their top principles. They make sure that the mental health of all their staff is looked after on a daily basis. And they don't just say it, they prove it and they show it. I look forward to going to work. I'm quite lucky I get to work from home. I do work in a call centre, but it's from home. And I feel supported. It's brilliant. So my main takeaway for this for all of you is, first, please talk. That talking is that first step and asking someone for help. That's your way of getting us, opening that door and then having somebody else that other side is holding out their hands and saying, let us help you. If they do that, grab the hands, please. Get the help. Watch some of my videos. If you've got questions you want to ask, ask them. And if I can make a video just to help you, I will do. If I can help one person make a better life, I've done something good. But then if I can help more than one, then I really am giving back. We are going to get a better place to live in. So thank you for taking the time to watching this video. I normally have a watch another video on this, but I'm not going to. If you like what you see, just please subscribe for me and follow the channel and become a supporter and part of my little community that I'm starting to set up here in YouTube. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.